Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with an article from Outkick dated February 13th. And it's one of those ones that's going to be as dumb as you're imagining it is right now looking at the title, which is Losers Online Panic About Fascism, Prove They're Idiots Reaction. So what we're going to see is a Reddit thread, or no, it's not a thread, but we're going to see comments from the thread copied and pasted here. And as you probably know about Reddit, it is a hive of scum and villainy. It's a bunch of just leftists complaining about stuff that they don't know a damn thing about. And I've made it known many times that I feel that there are no smart leftists. And you're about to see that there are some really stupid people out there. And this article focuses on, the word fascism, and it's a word that leftists don't seem to understand the definition of, because if they did, and I've said this before, they'd realize that they are the actual fascists. So let's get into the article before we get into the actual quotes. And again, you're going to have a good laugh at this. It says, people on Reddit need to put the computer down and pick up a history book. As Outkick readers know, I'm a big fan of Reddit. That's the author, not necessarily me, Jason. I check out several different threads every single day. You simply never know what you're going to find. Many times it's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, you'll occasionally stumble upon something that's so stupid that it's hard to believe it's real, and that leads us to a wild thread going viral. And the next section here says, Reddit users cry about fascism while proving they don't live in reality. And yeah, it's pretty much what it means to be a far leftist, is that you have constructed a fantasy world that you live in. And yeah, and you just kind of base everything off of this imaginary world that doesn't really exist. So it says, there was recently a thread that went viral with people complaining about, and I guess they forgot to put the word fascism in there because it just kind of ends. So it says, so what does it say? The thread here, it says, it's Donald Trump meltdown. Okay, so it says, this one takes things to a whole new level. It says, how worried about you about the rise of fascism? Now, me, Jason, if I was asked that, I'd say I'm literally not at all, because people realized after, World War II that it sucks and just basically didn't do it. But, there are other left-wing ideologies that are, first cousins of fascism, socialism and communism, to name a couple. We can also throw in Marxism in there. That I am actually worried about those, because they started to happen during Joe Biden's term in office in the United States. So I'm not worried about fascism at all, but let's see what the Reddit people had to say. And that's what all those bullets are there for. But before we get to that, it says, get ready to read some of the most delusional takes that you've seen in a very long time. No matter how deranged you think your local neighborhood nutjob may be, they have nothing on these clowns. Yeah, and I've already read these reactions here because I just wanted to see what they said. So, again, you're going to love this. There are a bunch of ones here where you're just going to be like, you people definitely do not seem to understand what that word means. So, first bullet here says, it's understandable to be worried about the rise of fascism, especially given the historical context and the impact of the society. So, and what I said, it happened once. In one society, people said no more, and it hasn't happened since. And every time it comes up, is like, nope, get away. So, I don't think there's any reason to be worried about it. It says, someone here says they're worried 10 out of 10, and I'm worried about tech feudalism 12 out of 10. Now, I don't know what the hell tech feudalism means. Feudalism is something that went out of style, 700 years ago. I think I kind of maybe possibly have an idea what they mean, but that's not really a term. So, okay. It's not another person just wrote, I'm 11 out of 10 worried about it. Okay, sure. It says fascism, maybe. Russian-style authoritarianism backed by an oligarchy. We're already there. No, we are very much not there at all. But also, where were you when... Because I know they're complaining about Elon doing his stuff with Trump, but where were you when Mark Zuckerberg basically bought the 2020 election? Didn't hear any complaining from you at all. And no, we're not anywhere near Russian-style authoritarianism. So, again, figure out what these words mean. Okay, and don't regurgitate simply what the media just tells you to think. So next one here says, the biggest problem with the rise of fascism is that we were never educated on what it looks like and how to stop it in its tracks. Okay, that's an utterly delusional as all hell take right there before we even get to the rest of it. What do you mean we were never educated on what it looks like? All you morons ever talk about is the one war that you think ever happened in the world, which is World War II. Okay, what do you mean? That's just again delusional take. And it says all we were taught and see in documentaries is the end result of it, and only often only in the form of Hitler and the Second World War. Well, yeah, because, you were talking about Mussolini, too, because he was also a fascist, but that's really it. That's all the fascism there was. So, again, people thought it was dumb, and they never went back to it, and we're done. There's never any talk about his rise from 1922 until the war broke out. Yeah, there's quite a bit, actually. Never talk about other examples around the world. There's literally just one. Okay, it's Italy at the same time. So we are taught the wrong history for things like these. Okay, so that person's dumb. They don't know what they're talking about. So on a scale of 1 to buying guns as an anti-gun leftist, pretty effing worried. Well, again, nothing to be worried about. And someone else here says, past worried, the world is changing. I am adapting and preparing. You're preparing for something that is not happening. Okay, so like you have to be like actively ignoring the world around you for you to think this is happening in this country. So as I'm worried about the growing divide between the left and right, fueled by social media algorithms, echo chambers, and a sensationalist media. That I think is an actual legit like complaint. Like that one I can go like, okay, I get that. I can see that. I understand. But the echo chambers, there are right-wing echo chambers, but they mostly exist on the left. Like you're on Reddit saying this. Go look in a mirror. Okay. The next one here, bigger blurb, it says, from all countries that really should not fall to fascism, the U.S. is in the top of my list. Well, it's not going to, so congratulations. As the mix of the nuclear arsenal, geostrategic power, pure military power, American exceptionalism, and intelligence agency capabilities, the U.S. would become the biggest threat humanity has ever experienced. Well, we were a bigger threat during Joe Biden's years than we are during Trump's years. And again, cutting government, which is what Trump is doing right now, is the literal opposite of fascism. Okay, and I shouldn't say the opposite of fascism, but the opposite of something that is a key component of fascism, which is growing government. Okay, so continuing on here, it says, while I saw the writing on the wall with Trump's last term ending and the apparent powerlessness of the system against his shenanigans, what the absolute F are you talking about? I really hoped U.S. institutions would hold a real fascist takeover at bay. Well, no one's a fascist, so can't stop something that isn't happening, can you? These last 3 weeks have weakened this hope quite a bit. So in conclusion, I am quite worried, but try to live a cynic serenity. Okay, this is, even though this might be an oxymoron. Okay, so you're someone that you don't know what fascism is, so shut up about it. It says, how worried about your house being on fire? Again, you just lost an election. That's it. The house wasn't where were you during Joe Biden when everything was going to hell? Here comes Trump going, we're going to take those things that are going to hell and turn that around. And this person's going, my house is on fire. How worried are you about? Like, shut up. And this next person says, yes, I'm very worried about fascists getting $40 billion a year and using it to foment unrest and fund ideological propaganda and thinking they're above presidential authority when they get audited. Are you talking about the IRS? I mean, like, what are we talking about here? Because that comment doesn't make any sense. Anyway, so it's getting ready for Republicans to be like, we are blameless for eternity because nothing is as bad as wokeness, Biden, Obama, and Hillary. Well, there are a lot of things that are not as bad as those three things, but no Republican is saying that. And remember, people on the right can't be fascist. The key component of it I just went over. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. And now here, I think this is the real fun one that I read now. It's just like, what are you talking about? This is one that made me roll my eyes so hard in the back of my head. I think I sprained both my eyes. It says, I'm extremely worried because half the country has completely abandoned reality. And this is the one that's complete projection. It says the Republican Party just reelected a convicted felon, so you're repeating a talking point from the media, who already led an insurrection on January 6th. Again, another talking point because it was not an insurrection. Instead of holding him accountable, and they tried, they lost because it wasn't true, they rewarded him. We didn't reward him. We voted for him because he said he was going to get rid of what was happening in the government and fix everything, which he is doing very much so. Says they either don't know what he is or they don't care. No, we don't care. Okay, and what do you mean what he is? You're saying a convicted felon? Go look up the details of that case and put yourself in his shoes and tell me if you think it's fair. The only answer you could possibly come up with is no. Okay, because if that happened to you, you'd be like, what the hell? So it says, either way, they've embraced fascism without a second thought. That's not fascism, even in the slightest. Like, again, you don't know what fascism means. As you can see it in the way they talk. They don't even know what the word fascist is. This person says they don't even know what the word fascism means. Okay, you just described when you just said they've embraced fascism here. And I'm actually pointing at my computer screen. I know you can't actually see me doing that. Remember, the sentence above this, the person says they've embraced fascism, describes what it is, what they think it is, just by saying those things, and then says they don't know what it means. You've just told me that you don't know what that word means, okay? This is what pisses me off. It's like if I was to hear someone say this and they said they don't even know what that word means, I'd look at this person and be like, okay, define the word. Tell me what it means then, because clearly you don't know what it means, okay? But this is on Reddit, of course. So this person is not going to receive the slightest bit of, feedback about this. Or pushback is the word I'm looking for. It says they think it applies to social media moderation or some made-up concept of left-wing fascism, which is absolutely not a made-up concept. Left-wing fascism is the only type of fascism that's ever existed. Okay? They think it applies to social media moderation or some made-up concept of left-wing fascism, but not to a criminal openly trying to seize power, which is not happening. Again, living in a world that doesn't actually exist. It's a fantasy. Their brains are so cooked for them that for them, fascism just means their team is winning. Again, like, would you tell this person if they were talking to you about this and saying all this, would you, like, how could you not look at them and go, you have no idea what that word means, like, at all? It doesn't go any deeper than that. This is where we are as a country. Half of us see what's happening. The other half either refuses to or fully supports it. This is quite literally mental delusion here. This is a person who has no idea, like none at all, about what fascism actually is, and is saying that it's you that doesn't actually know what it is. Okay, next one here says, extremely worried for my country and my family. I find myself thinking a lot about how much I listened to or paid attention to my grandparents' and great-grandparents' experiences. I'm ashamed to say it wasn't a lot, but I learned about history and the so subtle moves leading to not so subtle moves the Nazis done. Okay, speak English first. When I'm out and about talking to my hairdresser, who is 23, for example, they have little to no knowledge of World War I, World War II, or geopolitical stances. Okay, well, that's our education system's fault, and hopefully Trump will get rid of the Department of Education, and maybe standards will improve. And again, that's not fascism to want that. This who am I to judge? It says, neither did I, to be honest, apart from what I learned in school, and Nazis are bad. Yes, I think everybody can agree on that, except for the morons out there on the far right and, Antifa folks on the far left who have a lot more in common with the Nazis than they have any idea. Excuse me. It says, now there's no memories of it, no tales of the death or destruction. Oh, well, trust me, they're still out there. You just have to look in the right place. It says, the fear that we should all feel is buried in generational time and all but forgotten. So here we are in danger of repeating everything. Nope, there's literally no danger of that at all. Okay. Again, this is someone who's been propagandized, okay, and is not capable of understanding it. So next person says, 11 to 10, I don't understand why we aren't rioting. Go ahead and try it with this administration. I guarantee you things will be different. So I don't understand why anyone is obeying these ridiculous demands Trump is making. What demands? Why the hell are Democrats confirming any of his nominees at all? They're trying very hard not to, but they don't have a majority in the Senate, so they kind of can't. So as long as all the Republicans vote for the confirmation, they can even lose a couple of votes and still be okay. So you're not paying attention. It says, why are they going about business as usual when it's not? No, it really is. Next person says, I'm not just worried about the rise of fascism, it's already here. Okay, I'd like you to point out where. Okay, the Republican Party has no bottom. They elected a convicted felon and rapist, I'm going to say that for YouTube purposes, who has already attempted an insurrection. So this person's as dumb as the other person we went over above. Because there are no standards, no rule of law, no values beyond raw power. Fascism isn't creeping in, it's happening right now. No, it literally is not. The only question is whether we survive 4 years of it. You will. You'll be fine. Because Republicans don't care about democracy. Yeah, they do. Says they don't care about integrity. That could be debatable. They don't even care about basic human decency. Incorrect. And remember, this is a leftist, probably, in all likelihood, saying this. Okay? People who, again, this is projection. I'll leave it at that. It says, as long as their enemies suffer, especially the most vulnerable people in our society, they're fine with whatever happens. That is just not true. Let's say this person, I guarantee you, doesn't actually know any Republicans. And again, they've probably been propagandized by MSNBC or something. It says, Trump isn't some anomaly. He's just the perfect expression of what they've become. If they get their way, this country won't survive 4 more years of it. Yes, it will. You guys are saying this all in 2016, and look, we're all still here. So, and then another person says, effing terrified. Another one says, as a German, oh, this ought to be fun. Our nation saw what happens when democracy fails. To see this happening in real time in our times is horrifying, and I can't even find the words. You're just a few months away from finding out what you got yourself into at most. Nope, that's not going to happen. Okay, I'd love for someone to come back to this comment and say, yeah, we're all, actually, everybody's doing much better. What do you have to say about this? And someone says, I'm going to disappear out into the woods. I don't need y'all and your governments. I grew up off the grid in the woods, and I guess I'll end up back there. This shit is sideways. That's fine. If you want to live off the grid, I don't know. No problem with that. That's fine. And go away. Don't be a useful part of society if you don't think you're going to be able to. Another person said, very worried. I have been thinking a lot over the last decade about the fact that our founders felt the American public should be educated, and it was a common responsibility to ensure the American public was educated. They believed ignorance would be the downfall of the republic, and here we are. What are you even, again, delusional. What are you talking about? Says, then there was this response that more or less sums up how I feel about the topic from the author. Says 0 to 10 because I live in reality. Exactly. And I guarantee you, if you go to this thread on Reddit and find that comment, I guarantee you that person's been downvoted to hell. Okay, but that's the right answer, is 0 out of 10 because I live in reality. And the article continues, if you think fascism is coming to America or is already here, then you're an idiot. And that is correct. Fascism requires a dictator, and the ideology doesn't matter much, state control of almost all decision-making, a loss of civil liberties, the crushing of opposition, and living under the boot of the government. Now, if that sounds like Trump, then I don't know what to tell you. Okay, you're just an idiot. But it kind of sounds like a president that we had in between the Trump terms, if you want to go ahead and do that, or even the president before Trump. So we've seen many examples over the years, and the greatest, of course, is Nazi Germany. And if you think the United States is anything like Nazi Germany, then I have a great beachfront property in Nebraska I'd like to sell you. Yeah, I have some jungle in the Yukon I'd like to sell you, some rainforest. It says the feared porn above is a disservice to everyone because it waters down words that have real meanings. If we had fascism in America or something like that, then nobody would be allowed to hold big rallies in protest of the government. Yet it happens all the time and nobody does anything about it. Why? Because we have the Bill of Rights and Civil Liberties. Yeah, and that's how you can tell these people, like, all these people should just shut up with one comment, which should just simply be you saying, hey, you want to know how I know we don't have fascism here? It's because you guys are saying all of these things that you're saying right now with no repercussions whatsoever. Simple as that. Argument's over, you win, move on. Says the Nazis literally rounded up people and put them into camps to murder them, and also starved Soviet POWs to death during World War II. Is anything like that happening here in America? No, and it's mind-boggling to me that people can be this detached from reality. Well, it's on Reddit, so I can believe it. Says fascism isn't coming to America. It isn't in America. It's not coming to America. Good movie, Coming to America. And believe it or not, the president has very little impact on your day-to-day life. Crack a beer and relax. There's nothing to gain from freaking out like the morons above. Let me know what you think, and there's his email address. But yeah, I mean, I agree that this is just moronic for people to think this. So it's I don't even know what to say at this point. I kind of think I gave all my opinions on it already. So let me know what you think about this in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.